What's up, guys? Rob Shoecraft here with 3 Storm Fitness, and I want to talk to you today about killing time between sets. Sets of weightlifting. So this is something that every single person who's ever lifted weights has probably at some time had to consider. What am I going to do in between my sets? A lot of times people just kind of sit down and start texting or BS with somebody in the gym, take a nice, 40-minute break. There are better ways. No, don't get me wrong. I've done both of those things, plenty. But there are better ways to spend your time in between sets. And I've just kind of made a little list here. I'm probably going to talk about a lot of these because if I start demonstrating things, this video will be 50 minutes long. So I just want to kind of I'll probably end up talking about most of it. In no particular order, this is how I spend time between sets. This is how I advise my clients to spend time between sets. It kind of just depends on what you're doing, on how you're feeling that day. But here are some ideas. Number one, I got CNS activation, typically between warm-ups. Not necessarily, hopefully you're plenty warmed up by the time you start hitting your work sets, but let's say you're going pretty darn heavy, and it's going to vary from person to person. Let's say you're doing squats, and you want to make sure you get plenty of glute activation. Glute bridges would be a great way to spend your time between sets. So maybe you hit a warm-up set, do like 20, 25 glute bridges, really hit those glutes. Let's say you're having some issues with your hip external rotation. Maybe your glute medius is kind of tight or whatever. You could do some band shuffles. You could do some fire hydrants, whatever. Let's say your knees are feeling a little tender. Do some terminal knee extensions, etc. So let's say you're doing like 3 warm-up sets. In between each of those warm-up sets, hit something that's going to help. Either, like I said, CNS activation, or you could also say sort of just muscular preparation. I mean, I don't want to say the two go hand in hand, but they kind of do. So you're sort of waking up the muscles and you're getting blood to the muscles that are going to be your prime movers, especially the ones that you might be kind of lagging in that day. So that's one way to do it. And don't wear yourself out. This is just meant to kind of get the blood moving, get things woken up. You could also do, now that I think about it, some sort of explosive exercise. You could do, sometimes if I'm sleeping basically, I'll do some, 2 or 3 reps of explosive chest passes with like a medicine ball or something like that if I'm doing like bench press, for instance. So experiment with that. Next, I got mobility restrictions in between sets. So if you are just, you're feeling a snag, or it's just something, squats for instance, when I get under the bar, this is a very common problem. I made a video for this a while back. I get under the bar real tight with the shoulders, and so a lot of the time I will do like a shoulder distraction with a heavy band and just kind of stretch my shoulders out for a minute or two, and I'll do that in between sets. And by the time I start hitting those work sets, or in between the work sets too, just kind of depends on how tight you are. I can get real snug under the bar, get a real good position, and it doesn't bother my shoulders later on. I don't get all that neck strain and everything. You could do scarecrows. I'm a huge fan of scarecrows in between bench, or any sort of upper back movement. I've talked ad nauseum about this, but scarecrows, we're kind of doing this with some dumbbells or without dumbbells, whatever. Cuban press. Just go light and just work those muscles back there. I need to do that a lot to get loosened up and to really just get in a good ready position. There are a million this sort of goes hand in hand with the first line, the CNS activation / muscle prep, etc. But again, working mobility restrictions, maybe a deadlift where I'm not getting good hip extension, or my back's feeling kind of tight. I'll do like a couch stretch, one of those, a big hip flexor stretch or some variation of that. You could do pretty long stretches static stretching for, you know, as long as it's not a prime mover, if it's something that could be restrictive, like in the instance of hip extension, stretching the flexors to make sure they don't get in the way, so to speak. That's a good example of working mobility restrictions. Thousands of different exercises. This is one reason I didn't want to get up and start demonstrating stuff, because I wouldn't stop. But there's tons and tons of stuff out there. Kind of my go-to YouTube videos have always been, I like Smashworks. Smashworks and Mobility WOD. They're great channels. I got some good stuff on this channel too, by the way. Subscribe if you haven't. 3, warm up for the next lift. This isn't always going to apply, but let's say you're doing a full body exercise. Maybe you're doing like heavy bench and heavy squats all on the same day. What you could do, assuming that you're feeling pretty good in all the moving parts of the squat, let's say you're squatting first, and maybe you're going to end the workout with a few sets of bench. Like 915 is a Christian Thibodeau workout or program, and I think he copied Fred Hatfield. A lot of people train like this. Anyways, let's say you're going to be doing heavy squats at the end for some short reps and some short sets rather. On the last accessory movement of, say, your upper body, you could start working in the warm-up for your squats. So just save time that way. So again, I'm not going to tell you how to warm up. It's just going to depend on the day. But if let's say you're going to do like three warm-up sets for the squats on your accessory lift, work those in so that when that lift is over for your upper body, you can roll right into the squats and hit those. So another good way to kind of just time management in between sets. That's 3. 4, greasing the groove. A lot of different greasing the groove strategies. Basically what that is working with well submax lift over, basically stacking the volume throughout I'm not getting anywhere here. Like the kind of the quintessential example that everybody uses is pull-ups. Put like a bar in your bathroom every time you go in and take a leak. Do 2 pull-ups, or do like 20%, give or take, of whatever your max is. If you could do 10 pull-ups, do 2. You can't really screw it up. Over the course of the day, you'll be doing, depending on how much water you drink, you might be doing 30 pull-ups throughout the day. So that's an example of greasing the groove. There's a lot of different things. Let's say you're weak on glute ham raise. You know, everybody can stand to have stronger hamstrings, so stronger posterior chain. Maybe in between sets, let's say you can do 10 good glute ham raises, do 1 or 2 in between sets, and over the course of a few weeks, your strength in that particular exercise will go up. Same with grip stuff, same with, basically the whole point of it is you're doing an exercise. I did this one time with handstand push-ups. I just do a handstand push-up in between sets, every set for a couple of weeks, and before I knew it, I was hitting, I went from doing like 2 to doing, 8. So this stuff really does work. Consistency is key, and also don't get too crazy. Don't burn yourself out. Just be consistent and go easy. It's supposed to be easy. Stacking the volume over time. So that's another way, greasing the groove. Just pick a lift that you're lagging in and put that in between your warm-up sets, regardless of the day. You do it every day, like I said. And fifth thing I have is dick around. That's kind of beyond just talking to somebody or texting. I'm talking about, I got this, hang on a second here. I got that little basketball hoop, that Skills XL. I love that thing. I did a video on that a while back. I did one. Shoot baskets or do something, something kind of active that's sort of fun that's going to pass the time real fast. Another thing you could do is, one thing I've done before is I'll practice like jiu-jitsu moves kind of by myself. I'll just practice like doing an air triangle or something like that, just to kind of keep myself moving, do something productive, work a technique in between the sets, so you're not just completely wasting time. You're sort of stacking your day, so to speak, your production. That's all I got, guys. So just a quick review. I got CNS/muscular activation in between warm-up sets. I got address mobility restrictions in between sets. I have warm-up for the next lift. If you got another big lift coming up, and like typically a full body day. I got greasing the groove strategies, and lastly, dicking around. All right, guys, that's it. Rob Shoecraft here, 3 Star Fitness. You got any more ideas? Please let me know. I've been lagging in addressing comments lately. I've been super busy. So I try to do it every 2 weeks and try to go through all the comments and hit them. So if you're watching a video and you're like, Rob's not responding anymore, I will do my absolute best to respond. I so much appreciate all the feedback and all the contributions on the comments. So thank you so much. So even if I haven't addressed you yet, I will try to, and I really appreciate it, whether I do or not. So thank you guys very much. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't. And just have a great day. Have a great week. Okay.